Hello everyone. I wanted to try a different room in the apartment to see if the sound is any clearer. So let me know if you prefer this or the projector in the main room. I don't do any fancy editing shit, so this is about as good as this shit's gonna get. As for what we're gonna talk about today, a video was forwarded to me by Macaulay, he's a longtime viewer of the channel, a few months ago, and it's about what it is to be a modern death metal musician on tour. And this is from the perspective of Archspire's Dean Lamb. That is a band that I have lampooned numerous times on this channel. And as far as the finances are concerned, I do detest what the band does musically. But if anyone has a passion outside of their boring ass 9-to-5 job, I want them to be able to pursue it. I want them to be able to do it without any kind of financial constraints. I know how difficult that can be. If it wasn't for me having to put in a bunch of time doing shit that I don't want to fucking do for my job, I could have way more recorded output, be able to play more shows, and it is a hurdle. So I support it. If you're able to get out there, more power to you. That being said, I have been a touring musician before. I haven't done it in a long time. Would like to get out there again with my current band. A lot of my touring experience happened in probably the mid-aughts to the middle 2010s. I haven't been out in quite a bit, but my experience with it is you are going to financially bleed on the road. And that's to be expected when you're playing fringe music. And this kind of stuff, what's alarming about music nowadays is the budgeting that you're going to see in this video that I'm going to break down for you shows that this is not fringe music anymore in the slightest. And if you're a young viewer to this channel, and why the fuck would you be, but if you're young, you probably don't understand that at one time metal was really music for outcasts. Like, nobody would be able to talk about it without getting smeared by the nearest normie for listening to devil music or shit like that. There was always, for people that are normal ass people, there was always a correlation between the fucking devil and metal. Regardless of the genre, it was always there. When I grew up, we didn't have nearly as much a secular America as we did now. So a lot of people would, look down their Christian noses at you if they found out you were into this kind of shit. I was one of the only people in my high school that liked metal, managed to get a few people into it, but for the most part, the people that I grew up around were like Dave Matthews Band kind of fucking people, so it was not common in any way. And if you were gonna go out on the road to play metal, it was, you had to expect you were gonna lose a lot of fucking money. But nowadays, metal is not for outcasts. In fact, if you play guitar-based music, you're probably playing metal or something metal adjacent, because there's no guitars in pop anymore. I'm convinced now that it's only midlife crisis dads and young kids buying guitars. So it's metal is way more in the forefront than it ever has been. And because of that, because it's become a product, the performing of it on the road is going to be much less a financial burden, which many people may think is a positive. But the issue that arises with this is when you see that it is a financially lucrative idea to be a death metal musician, which is still laughable for me to consider, you are going to compromise what you're doing, because you are going to think about what the audience wants to hear. You're going to think about the kind of performance the audience wants to see, what kinds of bells and whistles you're going to throw in to your performance to get people to care about you. The art is going to be compromised. It's inevitable. Whenever money is involved with any kind of artistic product, it's compromised. And what I'm going to show you with this video is going to be an alarming example of that, while at the same time showcasing just how insane it is to go out on the road nowadays and expect to make it. And that make it idea, that's something that I never once considered. I have a different mindset than the modern player. I really do think that pretty much anyone that picks up an instrument nowadays thinks that that's going to be their job eventually. And for Archspire, it probably is, based on what I'm seeing in this video. But for me, work is what I did to be able to finance my passions. You know, keeping them separate means one doesn't contaminate the other in terms of my attitude towards it, whether or not it's going to make me compromise the art. That's not something I have to think about. With this, you're going to see that that's very much going to be the case. So let's give this a watch here.
We recently embarked on a massive United States tour supporting the band Whitechapel for 23 days. Little did we know we would accumulate more than $150,000 US worth of debt before even playing a single note.
Alright, so that's a fucking astonishing amount of money. Now you might be asking yourself, how do you get that much debt before you even get on the road? And this is where it gets crazy, because some of this shit I understand. I have gone across the border to Canada to play music before, and you do have to jump through some hoops. They are coming from Canada to the United States, and there is some shit you have to do. Getting merch across the border, you have to really be clever about how you go about doing it. But there's gonna be a breakdown later. You'll see. It's fucking crazy.
In this video, I'm going to outline all of the challenges and hurdles we faced along the way. Hey, my name is Dean Lamb. I play in the technical death metal band Archspire from
No, you don't.
Vancouver, BC, Canada. So in June 2022, I opened up my phone to see an email from our agent with an offer to support the band Whitechapel. We carefully looked at the offer, weighing the timeline and the financial side of it, despite the inherent risks of potentially not resonating very well with Whitechapel's.
That's a hilarious comment. Whitechapel and Archspire, to me, are essentially the same band. If it was like a meme, it would be the Pam from The Office meme, where it's the same picture. Whitechapel has opened up for suffocation, and the room has cleared afterwards because people care way more about Whitechapel. These are both deathcore bands, Archspire and Whitechapel, as much as Dean doesn't understand that. So that's already fucking hysterical.
Existing crowd, because they are quite a bit different of a band than we are, we decided to accept the offer and go ahead with the tour. So we immediately got started on planning logistics and everything else that comes along with doing a tour like this. I imagine a tour is sort of the payoff for the months and months of planning that you do before the first show. There's so much logistical consideration, vehicles, crew, merchandise. There's so much stuff that goes into it before.
The word crew, that's never once ever was a consideration for me. Obviously, I've never been in a band at his tier of bands, but right there, you got a red flag.
Beforehand, that if you don't do that, your tour is not going to be successful. So you really need to put in the work. The tour is kind of the fun side of it. All right. The first thing we needed to do was get our work visas for the United States. Now, we are a Canadian band, so we need what's called a P2 visa. Filing for a P2 visa as a Canadian to go into the United States to work is about $2,500 for a 5-piece band, and it's only valid for the amount of dates that you have booked already. So I always give 90 days as per their recommendation so that we don't miss out on any opportunities.
That's respectable. Totally get that one.
Next up was figuring out the vehicle that we'll be traveling in, and the amount of crew that you have with you is really going to change what your vehicle possibilities are. When deciding the amount of crew to bring for a tour like this, it really depends on your budget. If you're getting $500 a night, it's probably not the best idea to have a dedicated lighting guy.
$500 a night is pretty sick. I mean, I know that inflation rates have skyrocketed. In the aughts, I would have been pretty fucking stoked on $500 a night.
Or a guitar tech, as much as those would be pretty awesome. A minimal crew is essential for making a small budget tour successful. However, the balance that you walk between profit and comfort is often tight. Bringing a dedicated driver might mean you take less profit at the end, but it means you play better, you get more sleep, and you're more energetic during the day. So it's definitely something to consider when you're planning your own run.
All right, so a dedicated driver. This is a hysterical concept to me. I guarantee that the way that they book, chances are because they're a much more popular band than anything I've ever been in, their drives are probably way shorter. We would regularly embark on sometimes 14, 16-hour drives each day. It was not easy, but we did it. And spending money on a driver is fucking hysterical. At most, we had a friend that was excited to go on the road with us and was our merch person that would sometimes drive unpaid. Hiring someone to be a driver, you're already in the fucking hole. Like, why? I don't know. I think that's just a ridiculous luxury.
It is a situation by situation basis. However, I think it's important to put your sanity high up on the priority list. The fans can definitely tell between an energetic, happy band on stage and a band that just drove themselves to each show for the last month and they're worn out and tired and playing not very well. Anyway, we wanted to use this tour as like a level up for us, as it was going to be the biggest tour we've ever done in terms of venue capacities. So what we decided to do was go with a company called Bandwagon, and they rent these great vehicles. They're basically like retrofitted cube vans or RVs, and they sleep 9 or 10, which actually includes a separate driver bunk up in the front with their own temperature controls so that they can sleep during the day while your band does all the daytime stuff. And then we switch places at night. They're up. At night, we go to sleep. Now, the Bandwagon sounds great. You have beds, you have a TV, you have a fridge, all that good stuff. The comfort level is much higher than a van and trailer, but the price difference is crazy. For about a month in a Bandwagon, it's about $24,150 US, with an estimated diesel cost of around $8,100.
Are you guys seeing that shit? Holy fuck. Now, I get it if you're going to be a upper echelon type of band, you probably are going to be in a bus with the touring bands. That's common. But my God, like, I still pack everything into my Yukon to fucking play shows on the road. I don't have nearly the amount of gear they do, but I get the whole band's worth of shit in there. Before that, we had the van. You know, vans aren't really common anymore, but that was the thing. Every band that I had been around was always going to be playing shows in a van. You tour in a fucking van. And this is their try to make a name for themselves tour, and they're going to take that ridiculous expense. Look at that fucking cost. Jesus Christ. I don't know, man. That is just to be... If you got the money going into it, that's one thing. But my God, this is fucking, I mean, it's death metal, and this is, you're willing to do this. Sure, okay.
So we are a 5-piece band, 9 bunks. That means we get 4 crew members, and we wanted to maximize that. So we decided to hire a tour manager front of house. So this is a combined role. It's somebody we've been working with for quite a while now. He both manages all the day-to-day stuff for us and mixes us every night. In addition, we have a lighting.
Okay, so you have a sound guy who also does your bookkeeping. Having a sound guy is cool, not gonna lie. That can be very difficult going from city to city, making sure that you sound decent enough. With playing music like what they do, the guitar nerds in the audience are gonna want to hear every note. So I don't know why they don't just play live to a MIDI Guitar Pro track, just fucking cut out the middleman. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. But the expenses just keep on getting added. And they had said before that ridiculous rental van it sleeps nine people. So might as well fill that shit up, I guess.
In tech, this is somebody who runs the house lighting system and helps us set up the ground package on stage. We also hired a merchandiser, so somebody to sell our merch every day. And
so your front of house guy isn't selling your merch? Why? And you have a fucking lighting person? Jesus Christ, is this a fucking Lady Gaga show?
And last but not least, is a full-time driver. This is somebody who is very skilled in driving bigger vehicles and can do long shifts, 6, 8, 10 hours in a day, which I do not envy. Their combined wages for the entirety of the tour would equal around $21,500 US. So between the vehicle, the gas, and the crew, we're already looking at $53,750.
That is a fucking astonishing amount of money. My God, dude.
Expenses. Yikes. Now, because everybody's coming from kind of different places at different times, we have to get everybody's flights all set up to meet us in Atlanta to start the tour. There's a lot of logistical stuff to consider here, and we definitely fucked it up a couple times, so we had to rebook flights. That was annoying. Anyway, now, baggage for the band. As a 5-piece band, we typically travel with around 10 to 11 pieces of baggage, and that includes all of our amps, guitars, in-ear monitor stuff, all that. So that means flights are going to be around $5,200 US. Now it's time to figure out some stage show production stuff. We've been working with a great lighting programmer based in the East Coast for the past year or two and wanted him to tell us what he thought we should bring for this tour. We decided to go with 14 fixtures total, 12 of which would be mounted to 7-foot poles on the stage, and then in addition to that, we have 2 side washes at the front of the stage. Now, this is expensive, so to make this possible, we opened communication with...
I've seen some pretty high-tier metal bands, even recently, and I don't recall that kind of fucking lighting system going on. That is crazy. He had mentioned in-ear monitoring before. This is an unfortunate aspect to modern metal performance. The first time I had seen it, I was probably I had seen Deathclock years ago, and that had to be an in-ear system because they're playing to a screen where the cartoon band is playing. And I understand that. This is another unfortunate symptom of taking all the life out of music. If you're playing to a click, you can do cool shit with a projector, lighting. I get it. You can have a very immersive experience. But if you're gonna do that shit, why not just fucking hit play on a fucking MP3 player? Bring your laptop, hit play, and stand there. Like, what's the point? Why? Well, what is the live performance at this point? I don't know. To me, it seems like it's a waste, and you're still not going to see old school bands like Suffocation or whatever playing to a click live. You're not going to see that, but you pretty much have to do that if you're going to have a live show that newer people are going to want to gravitate towards, and it's kind of a shame because the focus should be on the music, and when you put all this other stuff on top, granted, it can make the experience a little bit more immersive, but people are simple, and they're gonna come out of the show talking about what was on the screen and what the fucking crazy lights are doing. I get why you have it, but that is another ridiculous expense.
The other support bands to see if they wanted to split the costs and get their own lighting for their own set programmed, but using the same package. And everybody agreed, which is great. So it cut down the cost quite a bit. The lighting and programming, split 3 ways, came to about $1,900 per band. That includes freight both ways. I think it's a pretty good deal, and I think it looks pretty awesome. Next up is merchandise, which can literally make or break a tour like this for us. When we were presented with this offer, it said that we must price match all merch items with the headliner. And it also said that we couldn't have more merch items on our table than Whitechapel did. That meant we were limited to 6 soft designs. So wearable stuff, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, that kind of thing. But accessories on the table, those were unlimited. So the spread we decided to bring was 2 new full color designs, 1 tour shirt, 1 black and white logo shirt, a hat, and a jersey, along with the accessories, which was pins, vinyls, CDs, stickers, patches. The total merch bill came to about $90,000 US.
Also a very crazy number. Wow, $90,000 in merch. Granted, at least I would hope that their label is fronting all that shit.
Alright, so let's tally everything up. So far, we have the work visa, $2,500, the vehicle rental, $24,150, the fuel estimated cost, $8,100, the crew was $21,500, flights were $5,200, the rehearsal space was $900, the lighting was $1,900, the merchandise was $90,000, and then other costs, so agent fees, supplies, we got a couple of hotels along the way, equals to $7,400.
With that fucking big ass rental van, you got hotels? Good fucking lord, why?
$150. The total financial commitment before show 1 was $159,450 US. So now I'm sitting before you a few days after the tour ended, and I can safely say it was an extremely successful tour, not just financially, but also in terms of building our audience and connecting with fans.
They fucking pulled it off. Can you believe it?
Every move we make as a band is calculated to maximize the amount of opportunity that we have and how viable touring is to make sure that this remains our primary source of income.
That's the problem right there. Primary source of income.
As a self-managed band, we take this extremely seriously, as it's been our life's work to write and perform extreme death metal.
Better get back to the drawing board then.
Now, if you're interested in supporting us, we have a bunch of merch available at our US.
He's still selling. Anyway, that's the video. So, like I said, I don't want people to starve, but if you're starving, you're going to be hungry in terms of your artistic merit. You're going to put out something that's vital. If you're just out here making money hand over fist, playing what used to be considered fringe music, you're Metallica at this point. You know that. I don't know. You're never going to be able to make something that is going to be coming from the heart. If you're putting that much into how much money you're going to be spending to get people to like you, you know, all of that shit, all that extra shit that they're talking about, the lighting, all of that stuff is that's all shit that is just to get people to like you if they already don't, or if they're not wowed by your music. It's fringe nonsense, but you know, I get it. You have to spend money to make money. People are going to be like, oh, that crazy, ridiculous band with the synchronized lights. Oh my God, they threw a twister mat into the fucking crowd. That's what people talk about. They're not going to talk about the actual crux of the music beyond, you know, how dexterous it looks when they see it performed live. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Not my understanding of what it is to be an artist is completely divorced from what it is to make money. Like the whole idea of metal in general, if you gravitate towards metal, it's because you understand that a majority of what's out there is bullshit. You know, the way people live is bullshit. And, you know, I don't think that anything is inherently wrong with capitalism. I think it's the best system we've got. But I understand that consumerism is bullshit. It's all a diversion. It's all silly and ridiculous. And if you're going to participate in metal, it's because you are turning your back on the normal respected values that everyone holds dear, such as ridiculous consumerism. But now metal, extreme metal, is equated with consumerism. And because of that, it's going to be compromised even further. And the kids that watch this video and see that it's viable are going to practice to try to do this shit. And because doing this kind of shit is attainable, because it's all just scalar practice nonsense, you don't have to actually put in any thought into the music, it's going to spawn a lot of clones. So be on the lookout for things to get a whole lot worse. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about with this video. Just an alarming admission for what goes into the financial aspects of music making, of modern metal making. I think that this shit is really embarrassing. The fact that he openly admitted this shit, I think, is really, really embarrassing. But that's what it is. All right. Well, thanks for listening.